Yes, people, we are back. Weekend hiatus, but folks, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to KGX to the Z TV. Make sure you guys hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button, turn those notifications on. Let me know in the comments, as always. Making moves. We started out Monday morning, at least Monday morning for me, folks, with breaking news that Trevor Chalobah has finally left the football club, a club that he's been at for over 20 years. As you can see up on the screen, Chelsea Dodgers, Como have reached a verbal agreement. This was 7 hours ago, folks. So things have changed a little bit, updated, and just in terms of becoming more finalized. But Como's reached a verbal agreement. Trevor Chalobah signing him from Chelsea. Here we go. 25.6 million British sterling pounds fixed fee. 5.1 million in add-ons. I'd love to know what those add-ons. And folks, we even managed to get a sell-on clause for Trev. So at some point, like most English players do, he will probably find his way back to the Premier League, back to the Championship, back to England. So yo, Como, run us those P's when you're done. But folks, we know we've got a long way to go in this transfer window. Outgoings, we still need a few more incomings, but some of the news that we've heard throughout the day have sort of alluded to the fact that we might need to generate some sales before we can actually spend some more money. I got the money gun sitting right over here, fellas. We're ready. We're ready to splash that cash on that next one. It could be a Wharton, could be an Adam Scott, could be a Bruno G if Arsenal keep dragging their feet. You don't know, folks, what the money gun is going to do next. But, folks, let's just talk about Trev. We'll talk about Trev, the player, talk about Trev, the Chelsea Cobham kid, won almost everything except for a Prem here with us. But finally, right, we needed some outgoings, especially in the center back market, right? We know we've got the likes of Trev, the Sassy, Badiashile, Anselmino, Sar, all that are sort of floating around the squad with rumors of them going. Sar, Anselmino, and I think those are the only two that are actually with the club right now in Hong Kong as we finish up our preseason tour. Trev, Badiashile, and then DeSassi were all rumored to be on the way out. So obviously the club felt it in their best interest. The players probably wanted it too. Stay home, get their agents on the phone, try to make some deals happen. And we've seen, right? We've seen West Ham sniffing around DeSassi. We've seen Crystal Palace, who we have a great relationship with, sniffing around DeSassi. Badiashile looks like Napoli are rumored to be interested in him. I've seen loans with a potential like a conditional buy, whether it's an obligation, we don't know, and things like that. But look, folks, things are happening with the center backs. Things are happening with some of the goalkeepers, right? We've seen links to Jorgensen on his way out, potentially going to Strasbourg. Jorgensen probably wants a permanent move away from Blueco. I don't blame him. He needs it at this point in his career. He's still a young goalkeeper, still hasn't hit his prime yet, needs to be playing week in and week out. He probably would at Strasbourg, but he probably doesn't want that extra year just to sit around and then decide his future. I think he wants his future to be decided permanently by the end of this transfer window. And like I said, I don't blame him. I don't rate him as a keeper. I don't rate Trev as a center back, the Sassy or Badiashile. But I understand from the player's perspective, and I'm not a dickhead, folks. I know these players want to get permanent moves. They want their future sorted, right? Not only for themselves, but also for their families, if they have families and things like that. So shout out Trev, found his move. I'm happy that he finally found his move, that we can finally move away from him. We've been linked with selling him for so long. He had that half a year loan at Crystal Palace, and then we brought him back. Trev's one of those players, right, where He's not good enough to be a regular contributor for a top team, but he's also not bad enough to that. Like if you have to break the glass and you need him for a game and a game or two, a club out there would take that risk on him. Um, I thought last year he flew under the radar for being one of our worst center backs. Um, if you look back, Fafana gets a lot of the headlines, and rightfully so because he's got that 200K price tag associated with him. But Trev just positionally when to step, when not to step. 1v1 defending. I think he's not very athletic. He's not great in the air. He's not great on the ball, despite playing a lot of time in the youth setup as a defensive midfielder. I just think he's just a very old school, limited center back. But he's a good soldier. He won't complain. He will put his head down. He will do the work. And like I said, he's probably a good presence to have in the locker room. So yo, big up Trev for your move. I hope you smash it at Como. Como's in the Champions League this year, so we'll be watching. We know Como's got money. Cesc Fabregas got ties to Chelsea. Chelsea legend. Big up my guy Cesc. So finally get some closure when it comes to Trev. But as you can see, folks, look at that picture, right? Once a blue, always a blue. Misha, folks, we'll just do a quick roundup. Misha is down there with the squad, flew all the way down there, beat the case, or finally got off on the case. 18 months that he sort of sabotaged his career. I actually felt for Misha. I don't want him back in the first team, but the human side of me says, you know what? Like, yo, he got a raw deal, folks. Like that B sample, we were waiting for time in order for that to come back. And having that sort of cloud around his head for that time, reputation aside, right? Because he probably did that shit, to be honest with you. Eastern European, we know how they get down with the PEDs and that. But you still wanted him to at least, have some affirmative or some definitive punishment, right? Based off of some actual results, and not having that B sample that this sort of was kind of hanging over his head. I thought that was just a raw deal. So supposedly he's on his way to Strasbourg. There was a few other team players that were linked with him, or a few other clubs that were sort of linked with him or have an eye on him and interest in him. Obviously, we'll never be able to come close to recouping what we paid for him. One of the worst buys that we had, right? We know what it is with Misha, right? The physical skills, fantastic. Dribbling, can shoot with both feet, but just mentally, just one of those players when he gets to the final third, the right decision always escapes him. Doesn't know when is the right time to pass or release it. Doesn't know when it's the right time to shoot it. So big up Misha. I hope he gets his move. I hope he starts getting back into regular fitness. I'll be interested to see if we see him in this preseason with Juventus coming up, and I think there's one more club coming up. So I think 2 more preseason games there. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Because there's definitely guys that are going to be coming back to the squad that need to be playing. Like Neto's just flew out there. Some of the other players that were at the World Cup, whose World Cup campaigns ended a little bit later. Reece James, Enzo, Sanchez hasn't featured yet because he's picked up a little injury. But as you can see on the screen, Penders finally joined. I know there was a lot of folks out there that were like, what is Penders doing? He should be out here fighting for his spot, cutting his vacation short and things like that. Yo, people, chill, man. Like, he had a long season at Strasbourg. They were in European competition. He needed, he probably needed some time off, right? So he's going to be there. He's going to have some time to impress Alonso. He should, right? The goalkeeper's fitness and things like that are probably a little bit less serious than for an outfield player because he's not, doing sprints, he's not running and things like that. So we should definitely see him over the next 2 games, if not the next, for starting for the next 2, at least until Sanchez is over his knock and healthy, right? We've been rumored with Diego Costa from Porto. Once again, I don't know much about him, but if you believe in Penders, if the club, which has sort of committed this future to Penders, it's time to see Penders in live action with the Chelsea kit on to see what he's all about. Again, he's only 19. Actually, I don't think he's like 20, 21 now. So it's time to figure out what we have in this kid and whether or not he's of the level to play at Chelsea Football Club. Danny Welbeck, as you've seen, has joined the squad as well. We got the introduction, we got the video, the welcome video from the official Chelsea Twitter account. He is flown down there, so we should probably see him over the next 2 games, which means if we don't see Liam Delap ever again in a Chelsea shirt, I am super happy. Even if this dude flops and he is absolutely terrible, he's injured. For the sake of him playing and kicking Liam Delap out of this club is worth whatever 2, 3, 4, 5 million that we paid for him. So big up Welbeck's. He can't score against us anymore, folks. That's always a good thing, right? Jordan Henderson also his signing has been announced officially. We know what the Jordan Henderson signing is about, folks. I've talked about it many times before in this channel, on this channel before on panels. He's a training room, back office, back staff leader type of signing, right? We didn't pay any money for him. He's not going to be on huge wages. We know he's at the tail end of his career. Did feature 32 times last year for Brentford in the league, though, so he's not completely dead, and there's still a little bit of traction on the miles on the tires. But folks, he's joined extra body in midfield. Hopefully he's not our last midfield signing, because if he is and we have to depend on him week in, week out, even with 1 game a week, then yeah, it's dark. But for all intents and purposes, we're still going to be signing a midfielder. We're still got our eyes on Scott. We still got our eyes on Wharton. So folks, Jordan Henderson, I don't expect to see him a lot in a Chelsea shirt week in and week out, but ultimately we'll see. We will see, right? Just look, Jordan Henderson, prop. More pictures. Misha's back. Message to the fans and all that good stuff, right? As you see, look, Misha training with Esteval. I'd love to hear those 2 conversations, right? Because neither one of them speak very good English. But as you can see, right, working with Esteval, Esteval thought had a pretty decent game last go around in the preseason against Spurs. Obviously scored on the header, but was a little bit wasteful with his opportunities. Probably could have hat trick, but we know what we have in Esteval, right? He's still a young kid, needs to be managed, needs to get up to the pace of the league, finish his end product a little bit more, and just work on his game. But look, the talent is there, the work ethic is there. It's undeniable. So look, big up Esteval. I think this could be the year that he does a lot of really good things. Looks like the new set piece coach, Austin McPhee from Villa, is going to be there, right? So we agreed, we activated a release clause for him, so he's going to be joining up down there. Set pieces is one thing that we absolutely need to improve on this year, defending as well as scoring. We were decent last year in the beginning when it comes to scoring on set pieces, but when it comes to the defending, I thought we were still poor. And look, some of that can be solved a little bit by guys like Lacroix, Colwell being back, a little bit more height in the squad as well. So that always helps. Young Genesis Antwi on his way to Strasbourg, featured a couple times for us, not last year, but the year before in like the Conference League and things like that. Winger turned right back. I'm pretty high on this kid. I think this kid is actually pretty good. I wouldn't have minded seeing him in and around the squad as we sort of, experimented or got more familiar with playing 3 at the back with wing backs. But if you go out and you spend 50 million on Palestra, you understand that, look, a kid like this needs to play. I think he's like 17, 18. He's been one of the best players that we've had in the youth setups, been vital to their success. And if you watch him play, he's one of the players. I know a lot of the wingers will get, Jesse Derry last year, Kavara McQueen, even Cardoso, Shim, and those guys, Reggie Walsh, Reggie Watson, will get a lot of the headlines because they're more in the attacking phase. But every time I watch this kid, he's always stood out to me. He's always had good games, and he's a modern type of fullback, right? Good on the ball, but he can still do the defensive side of the work. So look, one to keep an eye out for, and somebody that I'm going to definitely, look forward to seeing when he goes to Strasbourg to see how he plays. Quinn is also there, right? Got delayed because he had a little minor hamstring injury. Flew out, is with the squad. Super excited to see what he's going to bring to the squad. We know on the ball, very dynamic, good dribbler, good pace. He's deputized a little bit in that wingback position when Amarin was there. Season last year was sort of derailed because of the injury that he got. I think it was like an ankle injury. So hopefully he's not injury prone, and hopefully he's there with the squad. Look, is there problems with the squad building and sitting him with a pairing him up with an Esteval, who are both promising young talents? Absolutely. Like, it's poor squad planning down to a T. But he's a good player. He's somebody that's young and's got a ton of potential that you want in and around the squad, and that should definitely get minutes this year for us. Cup games, starting maybe the odd game here or there, depending on the system that we play. Right, if you're going to play with attacking wingbacks, maybe versus certain teams, you could kind of get away with him there. But happy that he's there. Looking forward to seeing him in a Chelsea shirt because we've heard so much about him. It's not listed up on the screen, but also, the Shavaria deal looks like it's going to be getting close. Looks like it's going to be down to a number that Chelsea are much more comfortable with, right? Like 21 million and then some add-ons, which is what you expect for a guy that's 28, 29 years old, never been capped by Spain, doesn't have a huge reputation. But we will see when Pep Shavaria, aka Pep Guevara, gets here, and things like that. But folks, a lot of stuff is happening. As always, make sure you guys keep up to date with the channel. Lock in for the boardrooms on Wednesdays. Lock in for the catch ups, sometimes Mondays and Fridays. I'm gonna be on Judge Mo's stream tomorrow at lunchtime, our time, but I think around like 5 o'clock UK time. So folks, hop in there. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on the transfer business going on. And as always, folks, appreciate everybody. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and I'll see you at the next one. Peace.